Inc.
The afterlife. Does it exist? This is a common question asked amongst most, but why is it so secret? Welcome to Secrets Within, a show about all things paranormal straight from the investigator's mouth. No fluffy scripting here, just raw paranormal talk about ghosts, Bigfoot, black-eyed children, equipment, and more. Host Reeni Rodriguez is no stranger to the paranormal and has been fascinated for years. One of her longtime passions is being a medium and further developing her skills. She's also a certified Reiki master and paranormal investigator. Now, here is your host of Secrets Within, Reeni Rodriguez.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Secrets Within. You guys know Ashley from Realm of Darkness, our other podcast. And she's actually going to be my co-host tonight. And we are going to interview Keith Linder. And he wrote books on poltergeist activity. So
yes, I'm extremely excited to talk to him. He has a documentary out on YouTube that's really interesting, goes over the poltergeist activity. It's pretty interesting. So
I know I have a couple questions because I mean, I'm not, I don't know much about poltergeist activity. Me personally, I've never came across any of that. So
no, me neither. And some of the stuff that I saw in his documentary, I mean, I think I'd go running out of the house screaming, honestly.
I was reading his book and I was like, absolutely. I don't know. There's no way. And he should be on here shortly. So in the meantime, there he is. Hi, Keith.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. I have my camera on. I don't see myself yet.
It's okay. I mean, if you could get it work, I mean, if you can't get it working, it's okay.
Let me change some settings here. Okay, see, integrated. Okay. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yes.
Here I am. I'm real. I'm live.
So, looks like he's good there. So, you are an author, and we've seen some of your documentaries. Do you kind of want to elaborate on those a little bit? Because Ashley and I were just talking, like, we don't know much about poltergeist activity.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about poltergeist activity, and I wasn't an author until after I experienced poltergeist activity. I'm an IT professional. I live outside the suburbs or in the suburbs of Seattle, Washington. And 2012, May 1st to be exact, me and my girlfriend moved into a home, lovely home, brand new, was built in 2005. And what we saw and heard and witnessed, we had no brush with the paranormal before. I was not in the paranormal. I mean, I like a scary movie every now and then, but I knew nothing of the sort. And it's weird when you, I guess the more, how can I say, inexperienced you are, the more overwhelmed you become, because I saw objects, we did, objects levitate, objects fly, and objects flew across the room, large, medium, small. Of course, it started off small and over time grew to large objects, loud bangs. I heard of the terminology, phantom footsteps, but now I can tell you what that's real. Door slamming, lots of doors slamming, lights going off in the room that you're in, just pitch black, TV channel changing by itself, and you're maybe 30 feet from the TV remote. This is what I later learned. I mean, there's all types of hauntings, y'all know that, and I know that now. But what I later learned was these are the, I guess, signs of a malevolent haunting. A haunting that's not so much house focused, it's people focused. The room you're in is being haunted, or the room you just left, or the room in your vicinity. Sleep deprivation sets in, because these things don't operate on a schedule like you and I, like we got to go to sleep to go to work in the morning to rejuvenate. No, they don't care about sleep or daylight savings time or what time Keith has to get up in the morning. They don't care about personal items that you regard as either family heirlooms. They throw them, they take them, they break them, they destroy them. I have valuable belongings that are still missing to this day that were gifts. Valuable items that were thrown. Tina jewelry was, thrown or missing. So yeah, textbook poltergeist stuff.
Did you notice the activity when you first moved into the house, or did it take some time for you? Like, did you have to get settled in before it started, or was it just kind of like first night in the home activity started?
Yeah, good question. Yes and no. May 1st was the day we went to sign leasing papers and get the keys to the home, do the, initial exchange. And there were activity. We did not know it was activity. That comes later. And the activity that happened on day one was the kid cough. Like I said, we have no kids, no pets. It's a 2,300 square foot home, 2-story. And the homeowner had just left, and we're sitting on the floor because there's no furniture. We're just sitting on the floor, and we're talking, me and Tina. And out the blue, like I just heard your voice, was this kid cough. I mean, it was so like you had a kid upstairs, and you want to say, "Hey, Johnny, you all right?" It was that real, and it stopped us in our tracks conversation-wise, and we looked to try to, where did that come from? That whoa, And it came from one of the rooms upstairs. I'll never know which one exactly, but it came from one of the rooms upstairs. But we shrugged it off after 5 minutes of talking about it, because once again, we were so proud of our accomplishment, house high, this house, and no, we're not even close to thinking ghosts. That comes later. And they know that. The poltergeists, they know that.
So,
and, we stopped 5 minutes later and just, it had to have come out from outside, but obviously, no, that didn't come from outside. All the windows are closed. You don't hear people coughing outside. That would never happen. So,
I have a question in the chat, and it was from Nicole Strickland, and she asked, the question may be early, but did any of the events increase or decrease when certain individuals were present?
Events will increase in our home. And what made our case so interesting to others who study paranormal was you have two people in the home, me and Tina. Normally in poltergeist settings, environments, poltergeists usually reveal their phenomena mostly around one person. versa. You're in the room, right? Your chair slides across the room. Hey, Cliff, come here. Cliff don't see it, but Cliff takes your word for it. We, most of the time, not all, witness activity together. There's something about these spirits where they wanted to show off with me and Tina in the room. So the plant levitating while watching a movie, there was a plant sitting next to the TV about 4 foot tall. Me and Tina are side by side. It's movie watching night, and the plant levitates off the floor. We both saw that, okay? We've both seen plants. We're having your dinner. You're just eating your dinner. It's a normal weeknight. And a plant goes zooming across the room. We both see it. You hear the crash. Now, of course, there's little nuances of when I'm in my office working and Tina's in the bedroom watching TV from the bed or, doing her hair or something. A door will slam on her, a door. And my lights will go off and I'm in pitch black. Or vice versa. Tina's left for work. I'm taking a shower and the door will slam on me. So those little subtleties, but overall majority of I would say the level 5 activity, yeah, we witnessed together. We were in the same room, close by each other. It was never one of those instances, and I know there's a theory among some out there in the paranormal field. I don't subscribe to it, but I know it exists of, you hear about this word agent, a focused person, teenager, adolescent, puberty, all these different things. But this case, and this is according to the researchers who lived in the house, keyword lived in the house, threw those theories out the window. Yeah, those don't apply anymore.
So something, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, so I know that I watched your documentary that was on YouTube with the 2 gentlemen that came in to your house. I think it was for a week. And I noticed that in the documentary, they talked about the previous owner. Did they do any type of warning to you when you were looking at the house? Or did the realtor say, hey, just let you know the previous owners had experienced this activity? Or did you guys just kind of go in blind and not realize kind of what you were getting yourselves into?
That's actually a good question.
Yeah, we came in blind. I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people who are familiar with this case don't know that there was a family who lived in the house 5 years before we did who had similar activity, and I know from a researcher's point of view or from a viewpoint, that's very important. That's crucial, because you're trying to establish timeline, you're trying to establish reason for hauntings. Did y'all bring it with you, or was it there when you arrived there? Well, we know it was obviously there when we arrived there. And but the previous family who had activity, that's not the owner who I shook hands with on May 1st. Those are 2 separate people.
Okay.
The homeowner I'm shaking hands with, he owns the home. He put the home for rent. The home was built in 2005. Okay. The family who had activity in 2008, 2009. A homeowner didn't volunteer any information when we got the house. He did. Even when I asked him after the activity, he was very kind of, hush hush. He didn't want to go there. But obviously, it's a good question to ask. Well, he's not living in the house. Why is it for rent? It's a new home. Why are you not in it? And you live in the same city. It'd be different if he was living in Cleveland or Chicago or somewhere. No, he lives in the same city. He's just not living in that home. And he has a family. So when Steve Merritt, parapsychologist Steve Merritt, Don Phillips arrived in the documentary, they had revealed or wanted to reveal, what Rhonda, her name is Rhonda, may she rest in peace, her sentiment about the house. And you saw, cabinet door slamming, cabinet doors opening up, phantom footsteps, electric issues, electronic issues. Her son felt like he was being watched. He saw shadowy figures out the corner of his eye. I did too. This is before I even knew they existed. We came in unaware, and that's probably in most poltergeist cases that I've researched, that helps the poltergeist out. They want you unaware. They want you coming in, the newer the better in their minds. Like, oh yeah, this couple, heck yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun, and they did. They had a lot of fun at our expense.
It's not funny, but
oh yeah. It's bad.
I mean, I didn't mean to laugh.
I'm no longer in the house, but yeah, I laugh about it now because imagine, and it's so cliche. We came in unaware, and there were things that we did that we got off TV, the paranormal TV shows, and Google, and all that. And you read these things, and just so whoever's listening or watching this show right now, understand a lot of that stuff, at least for us in our house, a lot of that stuff you're advised to do on TV shows and Hollywood and all that, makes the activity worse, not less. We were operating under the mindset of, oh, we can throw holy water on every wall in the house and that'll be good. Or, oh, we can buy crosses and Bibles and we can sage and smudge. Well, I talk about in my book, my first book, The Bothell Hell House, about our smudging. I did not know, but I know now. There should be a course given on smudging.
I agree with you 110% on that, because a lot of people don't, like, especially in the, like, if paranormal field, they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and that's bad. That's bad, right?
It is bad.
Yeah, if you don't do it right.
Waving sticks around, reading stuff off the internet, get out of my house, bye, go.
Right.
And the ghosts are like, and they attack us. They attack us and take our sage stick. I mean, one of the paranormal researchers, the ghost lit her sage stick for her. That's like you going hunting and you for bear, and the bear loaded her rifle. He's like,
it's practically like the ghost being like,
right.
I mean, yeah.
What do you do with that?
I think it would be more scary than anything. I'd be like, oh, I'm a joke to them. That's what I would think.
Yeah, we were, and like I said, we were so new, naive, getting bad information because we didn't know. We didn't know. There's a lot of information out there, and some of the people were sincere, but the information is still wrong. And what might have worked for a house in Amsterdam, because Amsterdam house is different, might not work for your house. See, our house, we later learned, some of the activity had Native American elements, and we were throwing Christian themes at what we didn't know was there. And we later learned, back in the 1800s in Bothell, this is where the house is at, Bothell, Washington, that there was a war between settlers and Native Americans. And one of the things that the settlers were doing in the name of Christianity or Christ was killing Native Americans. So imagine you're a spirit roaming a house or a land, and you died because you didn't convert to Christianity or whatever. And here comes this Keith guy with 5 Bibles and crosses and holy water saying, get out of my house. Yeah, that's going to have an adverse effect. And it did. It did, yeah.
Do you think that by taking the Christianity aspect to it, do you think that's why some of the Bibles were catching on fire? Because I watched that and I was like that. I mean, yes. I was baffled and amazed all at the same time. I mean, It was crazy.
Yeah, that's an important question because you're right. And when people say, "Oh, you have 3 Bibles catch fire?" And yeah, we have 3 Bibles catch fire. But understand, it could have been 3 Qurans. It could have been 3 phone books. Whatever the house occupant, sort of walks in and says, "This is my power. This is, you got to lead. This is my belief system." The poltergeists and I are going to take that and use it against you. They're going to let you know right away, hey, that don't work on us. You might have seen too many Spielberg movies, but that don't work here. And we psychologically, and I tell people, poltergeist is 50% physical activity and 50% psychological. It's a psycho war. It's a psych war. They're going to war with your psyche. When you see your belief system, that you grew up with. I grew up in the church. I'm not over religious, but hey, I get it. I grew up in the church. And when I see Bibles burning around me, I cannot help but go there to think, oh my God, I got Lucifer incarnate in my house.
Mm-hmm.
This is like Damon times 10. And that does that's a shot in the morale department. And you feel more helpless because like it burnt a Bible, you know?
Yes.
I'm walking up the stairs with this Bible as I'm all reverend and they got the little thing laid down. It's all nice and neat. And me and Tina and others see that and we're like, now you know, okay, well, where do you go from there? It burned God's book. And the poltergeist letting you know, yeah, you know, and I kept bringing Bibles, and we were advised to do that. And like I said, people's heart are in the right place. Some of them, not all, but most people's heart was in the right place. But most people are making it up as they go and borrowing off TV.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love that you said that because I think in the paranormal field, people forget that there are other cultures and other religions, and they focus strictly on theirs, and they don't take into consideration that maybe the spirit doesn't have the same belief as you do. So I absolutely love that you just said that you was perfect.
Yeah, maybe they don't. Maybe if they were, and like you and I, if we were, you know, God forbid, wrongly accused or da 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 da, and we came back, we're not going to be too understanding if you throw whatever it is that brought about our demise in our face. And also, we still don't know what it is we're fighting. The poltergeists, they don't tell you, hey, I'm a poltergeist. They don't tell you that. You have to figure that out in your own timeline. And they just make you suffer until you do. We did not know. And like I said, it took me 3 years, and Steve Mayer and Don Phillips, who've done plenty of poltergeist research and investigations in the UK, not the United States, in the UK, to say, hey, those cameras, those Bibles, pause. You need to put a pause on that. We need to dial it back a little bit. Let's get back to neutral, because right now you're just putting more logs on the fire. And if the activity is showing to increase as you do things, then the rational, logical step is to decrease. And there's some truth there. And that's why they, having lived in the home 2.5 weeks, because they made 2 visits, Don and Steve, were able to capture a lot of data. I mean, they caught a lot of data, evidence.
Were you ever scared at one point that it was a demonic haunting instead of a poltergeist?
Yeah, multiple times. I would say our transition, meaning me and Tina's transition from, keep in mind, when the first activity, the kid cough, the plant levitating, finally we found kid toys displayed out in the house. We wake up in the morning, there's kid toys everywhere. We thought at first we had a kid ghost. We thought, oh, it's a little child. Oh, how cute, a little baby. And we talked to the air, hey, go into the light and all that stuff. And it goes like, hell no, and slam the door or something. We graduate into like, whoa, that's pretty mean for a child to do. Wow. What finally made me realize we're not dealing with a friendly ghost, we're dealing with something malevolent, was when the large objects start being thrown and the loud banging. Now that's malevolent. What made me think demonic was the fire when my poster caught fire while I was taking a shower. Tina had just left for work, and we had smudged the house the night before going to bed, which I later learned, never smudge before going to bed. No. And we did. And we woke up the next morning, the house still smelled like sage. Tina went to work. We should have left at the same time. I was later advised we should have left at the same time. And we started doing that because they attacked me, and the poster in my office caught fire. So I run out of my shower, the fire alarms are ringing. I get to my bedroom doorway, and there's a landing. I'm on the second floor, and the front door opened wide. There's nobody in it, and it's slammed shut. Just open and slammed shut. That Hollywood's got that part down right. You know, we see the door slam and nobody's there. Hollywood's got that part down right. Somebody must have talked to them. But before that happened, something invisible ran by me, like, because you hear the thundering footsteps, and it's thundering down the steps. And it missed me by a nanosecond. If I had stepped on that landing a second before, I think I went flying across the room. And then smoke is billowing out my office, right? But I don't respond to my office first. I respond to the front door opening and closing on its own. I go to the front door, and the door is shut. You can't even open it. It's like, I don't know, 20 elephants are sitting on the door, and I can't even open it. It's Hollywood got that right, part two. And you can't open the door. I run back upstairs into my office because I got a fire to contend with, and my poster is on fire. And I can tell you, I've seen many fires in my life. We've all seen fires. This fire seemed to be controlled and alive. Okay. And I was panicky, scared out my wits end. The fire department came later on. They could not determine a root cause. I knew then, just from the environment, that I was being attacked. There was multiple spirits in the home. The door slamming was a decoy. And yes, I started thinking demonic when I saw fire. That will later increase because things, more fires. People don't know, we've had in the Bothell home, we had insect flies infestation. We've had the foul stench smell, putrid smell, knock you to your knees. Just in a short vicinity of you. You turn your way this way, you don't smell it. You turn right here, bam, it hits you. The wall writings you saw on the wall, the dents in the wall, stuff being thrown, and the shadowy figures at the corner of your eye. That's real. That I read that a lot of poltergeist cases. That's real. You're just typing or cooking in your kitchen, and the little gremlin guy goes stealth walking across the room. You turn and y'all make eye contact, and then it's gone. It's just so yeah. That's when I knew. There's some demonic stuff going on here.
All right, Nicole Strickland in the chat. She wants to know what type of historical and geographical research was done on the home and land, or it sits on, or does any of its research correlate with the events, any burial grounds or deaths that have occurred? Do you happen to know?
Yes. So other teams, including the team in the documentary, and even myself, just to familiarize your listeners, Bothell, Washington is maybe 20 minutes northeast of Seattle, Washington. Washington or Bothell, like most places in the United States, if you go further back enough, you're going to find a Native American history. And, it's always, sounds too cliche. Native American, here it goes again. Yeah, Poltergeist, the movie, saw it, But there's some truth there in the sense of anybody listening today can Google Bothell, Washington, and you will find out that the city of Bothell, some very bad things happening around Bothell in the mid-1800s. Native Americans, a lot caught the smallpox virus, and a lot were put in mass graves. A lot of their land were stolen. And I did not know this until I researched it. The Native Americans in and around Bothell, as well as other places, they bury their dead above ground. They bury their dead in trees, not like we bury it. Some Americans in the ground, but some Native Americans, I thought everybody buried their people in the ground. No, they buried in trees, and that's interesting. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So in the Pacific Northwest, I don't know where y'all live, but the Pacific Northwest, thousands of trees, just forest. Okay, so think from a frontiersmen coming in, settling, and the mass chopping down of trees to make way for the new world, and then the resources of a Native Americans family getting pushed out, smallpox sets in, there's war, there's factions. So all that happened in Bothell. You can go look in Bothell and you'll see online several websites, and that's how I found out. Because the wall writings, believe it or not, some of the black oil that was on the wall, some of the symbols were written in Native American language. That's what gave us the hint there's a Native American angle there, because if you've seen, I mean, yeah, it was 666 and other stuff, upside down cross. But the one that caught my attention and the researchers' attention was the upside down man symbol. I don't know if y'all have seen that. It's an upside down stick figure of a man. And I've looked at thousands of other cases. I've never been able to duplicate that in other poltergeist hauntings. Yeah, poltergeists write on walls all the time. This poltergeist chose to write on the wall with that symbol. Well, I Googled the description of that symbol. I'm like, oh, upside down, and that's got to mean something. Mm-hmm. And true enough, it means a man has died. It has two meanings. A man is about to die, which made me scared, or a man has died. Now, Native Americans only draw that symbol. They don't draw it every time a man dies. No, they only draw it 2 times. If a Native American man has either been murdered or died of a disease, okay, of a disease like a smallpox. And the reason why they draw it for disease is because when you wander, imagine you wander through the woods, right? You're just wandering, you're hunting or whatever. Native Americans want you to be appreciative and respectful of their burial grounds. Obviously, makes sense. Mm-hmm. They also want you to know, hey, over here, this man died of smallpox. Death lives here. Death. Go the other way. Don't disturb this area. Death is here. Like nowadays, when you see the hurricanes and the tornadoes, when they go resume the bodies out of the destroyed houses, they will literally get spray paint. I'm talking about the United States government or the local government. They will spray paint the door or the side of the house to let other people know death occurred in this house. Leave it alone. We're going to send a special team in to go there and retrieve the bodies. Leave it alone. They draw an upside down stick figure of a man. Actually, they do that today. I saw that in the hurricane videos. So you have that angle, and then you have the black oil, which to a person just looking at it at the glance, that looks like spray paint. I don't know, Keith. That looks like a little, hoaxy going on there. Well, I had the black oil tested and analyzed by a third party who, has no familiarity with the paranormal. They just test stuff. And they determined that it was bone black. That's what the black oil was made out of. Well, I never heard of bone black before, but if you Google bone black or bone black is incinerated buffalo bone. It's when the Native Americans at the time, it's their major form of black paint. They use it for calligraphy or pictography, wall writings. What you do is you take the bones of the buffalo, you incinerate it down to where it becomes nothing but charcoal, and it becomes its own derivative paint for writing calligraphy and pictography on walls. That's what the analysis, not me, determined. And it's one of the oldest forms of black paint, and it's used by Native Americans the world over, not just North America. So you have those two things there. Was there somebody literally died on the house? It's impossible to tell. It's 2022. But the area itself was highly Native American. I mean, the county I live in, it's called Snohomish County. That's a Native American tribe. The tribe that lived in Bothell were called the Skycomish tribe or the Willow people. They lived here at the time, but they were extinct, most of them, or dispersed back in the mid 1800s due to smallpox, and they were illy treated. So the upside down wall symbols on my wall gave credence to that.
Now, I'm so curious about this. When I was reading your book, I am a huge collector of haunted dolls, and I know that you guys did an experiment with a haunted doll. Could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, okay. So you talk. Okay, so
yes,
different paranormal team.
Okay.
This doll. This is Nikki Novell and her team on the East Coast. This was a shadow detection doll that Nikki brought and they lived in the house 3.5 weeks when they came to live in the home. Awesome experience. Did you see the video?
I could not find it, but I read it, and I have been trying to find it because I so want to see it. I
Oh,
really, really
it's on my YouTube channel. Remind me.
I tried, but
I'll put the link.
Yes,
Awesome
please.
video.
She's been talking about the experiment for days. She cannot wait to ask you.
I couldn't.
Awesome experiment. This is one of the best. There's so much evidence out of the house. This is one of the best evidence from that Boston house. So let me explain. So the experiment was this. Nikki found a shadow detection doll on eBay and had it shipped to my house while they were living there. And because they had been hearing about, objects moving and whatnot, and they want to see, could they get the spirits to interact? The goal is to get whatever's there to interact, whether you're there or not. This experiment was, we're going to set up cameras, and they did, and we're going to leave the house. We have a person who's on the East Coast, her name is Jenny, who's going to monitor 3,000 miles away with the motion camera. She's remoted in. She's got cameras in. And I remember her and her sister, they set up the camera. They put the doll on the couch. You'll see the video. It's awesome. And she does a little sterile environment, the timestamp, the mic check, and all that stuff. So you can know we're leaving, and you see us leaving. You hear us leaving. The house is dead silent. I'm going to tell you 2 points of view, the house point of view and what we're doing in the car. So in the house, the doll is sitting on the bed, on the couch, and it's got 4 or 5 cameras on it from different angles on the first floor. In the hallway, there are motion sensors on the floor laced throughout to catch anybody moving upstairs. And when you watch the video, you see from different angles, you see, and you got to be, it happens very quick. There's almost a cut in electricity because there's a nanosecond of dimmer or something. Some unexplained effect goes on, and the doll starts. It does a little laugh when the shadow is detected. The doll will laugh, and it does that in the video. And it does, I think, 2 or 3 times at different, because we're gone for like 2 or 3 hours. And you see that from different angles, and you're like, oh, wow. Now, what's benefit about this doll is it's not touch activated, and it's not motion activated. We hear the word motion camera, and that's because, passive infrared or active infrared, you're breaking some sort of beam. You've cut the beam. There's another camera in the room. You cut it, you broke it. The cameras talk to each other. It makes an alarm. This is shadow detection. The only thing that will trigger it is a shadow. So let's say if I sit the doll on the couch and I go walking by, I can walk by the doll and it won't not make that laugh unless my shadow, not me, my shadow goes above its sensor. And that's what happened in the house. You see that in the video. What's happening in the car is we're driving off. We're like, I don't know, a few miles away from the house. We're talking to Jenny, who's listening in. And I think we get to a red light or something. And she says, hey, the motion sensors upstairs are going off. They just went off. And we're like, oh, really? Now, the urge you see in the video was, in the book, the urge was to turn back around like, oh, yeah, let's go back. They're activated. No, the experiment is working. Let's continue what we said we was going to do. And then she's like, hey, the doll just laughed. And that trip, even as much as I've seen in that house in the years I've been there until they arrived, that threw me for a loop because I've seen a lot of paranormal teams come in with their gadgets and experiments, and I chuckle and I laugh. Like, what are you doing? What is that? This, I was like, that explains a lot of what we experienced in the house, me and Tina. What the doll was able to capture, what the tripwires were able to capture upstairs. I mean, you'll see the video is pretty long, so grab some coffee when you watch it. The tripwires, there's a time where the tripwires go off like 45 minutes nonstop. nonstop. Now, as a good this is how good Nikki and them were with their investigation. We contacted the manufacturer of the tripwires, the people who make it, and you show them the video, and you tell them, or you ask them, say, "Hey, you guys made it. It's your equipment. Is it supposed to do that?" And they're like, "No," and that's evident. That builds up your, the average investigator. Like, "Oh yeah, they went off. Yeah, check that off as good evidence." Yeah, maybe debatable, whatever, 50-50. But no, we contacted the manufacturer of the tripwire and sent them the video. They're like, "Whoa, what? I ain't supposed to do that." So yeah, I'll find the video. So I think it's 3 videos in all, because it's each camera angle. You want to see from different camera angle. Different people have found voices on the video of the spirits talking during all this melee, footsteps. One video shows the shadow moving down the hall, but the doll, yeah, that was pretty good.
See, and that has to be some type of justification as well, because I know, like you said, equipment, it can be faulty. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Other things can set it off, but something like that, where even the manufacturer says, like, that shouldn't happen. That has to be just pure justification for you, that like what your experience is, it's really happening, and now you have proof of it, and that's amazing.
Yeah, we did. Even with the black oil, getting it tested, I made a point I withheld where the oil came from, because I want an unbiased, nobody who's had stake in the game, honest opinion about what the black oil is. I want the manufacturer of the tripwire to tell me. And they don't know what this tripwire, they're seeing it like, oh, well, I mean, they made it, and they're seeing it do something that they didn't make it do. And even Don and Steve, even with the voice recorders that Don uses, the Olympic, I forgot which model, I know it's from Olympic or Olympia or whichever. He works with the manufacturers closely on the voice recorders that he used, and he takes it back to them when he captures ambient sound. He plays the ambient sound back to them, and they do all their analysis, and they are scratching their heads, because that's part of the evidence. That's part of the journey of capturing evidence, is capture it. All right, that's interesting. You hear it? Yeah, all right. Let's take it back to the manufacturer and say, "Hey, you guys, what's going on here?" I'm trying to sing. I cannot be making records and other voices are on my song. You gotta what turn some sort of tune setting down you got in there, fix it. And they take it like, "Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Linder." And they go like, "We don't know why you got that ambient sound in there. We love." And you like, "Oh, thank you very much. Have a nice day." That's the scientific portion of investigation that I wish paranormal teams would do, because then the skeptics would have nothing to say. They'd be like, "Oh, you did all that stuff." The test to get the black oil analyzed, that was an expensive test.
Oh yeah.
Not $20, $30 or whatever. The machine to test it cost $35,000 to $45,000. That's the machine that was able to determine an analysis of it.
Wow.
So yeah.
And one of the other, I don't want to say experiments, but one of the other things I saw that you got tested on the documentary is when the wall was leaking from behind the picture that was above the TV. I know that with the 2 streaks, I know that a lot of people would sit there and say, "Oh, it's condensation from the wall," or, somebody took a shower and it was close by. But I saw that the researchers actually took the material and tested it. And when they came back and said what it was, I'm like, how does that even happen?
Yeah, see, like I said, Steve Mera and them have done poltergeist investigations before, and those 3 lines you see had happened a few days or a few weeks before they arrived. We found other yellow oil-like substance throughout the house, and you're right. You see them doing a whole little Ziploc bag and a Q-tip and all that.
Yep.
And what they have established through their years of research is they have already set up rapport with research labs who say, "Hey, I'm sending you something. Tell me what it is or what it isn't." And that was very thorough for them to do, because they're in it for the research purposes and to hopefully make the activity stop. Whereas me, I just want the activity to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But I let them do what it is they do and stuff like that. And yeah, so yeah, that was good for them.
We do have a question in the comments that says, does the previous residents, did they leave because of the activity? The ones that were right before you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Rhonda told me through multiple times, and it took me 2 years to find her, was she said she described the house as a living hell. She said the house was the reason for her family breaking up and in divorce. Her and her husband got divorced in the home. It just became too much. They could never they never said paranormal. They just say the house had a bad vibe,
Mm-hmm.
So when I approached Rhonda and told her, "Hey, my name is Keith Linder. I'm living in your home now, or the home you used to live in," I purposely withheld what we were experiencing. All I said was, "This house is weird." And the floodgates came flooding from her mouth or the keyboard when she finally admitted to what was going on. Because I needed for her response to be organic, no bias, and I need to be able to connect the dots. I know what we're experiencing, and I need for her to tell me what she's experiencing without knowing what I'm experiencing. And with a match, I found the right place, and they matched flying colors. Like, yeah, that house is weird. House is from hell. Things start happening on day one. We got locked out. She got locked out. I've been locked out, so I know her frustration of being locked out of your own home. Electrical issues, TV turn on by itself, change by itself. The son's bedroom was my office. So when you see my office, that was his bedroom.
Oh my goodness, because that's where a lot of the writings happens.
That's what a lot of writings happen. And
Yeah.
she said he got sick in that room. He saw shadowy figures out the corner of his eye, and so did I. And you're right, that's when the fires happen, objects thrown, the wall writings. Yeah, my office and the hallway probably were the most active rooms in the entire Bothell house. They were very tit for tat. And that's the white or the gray and white apparition happened right outside that office door both times. So those things were very important when she told me that. And it blew my mind away. But I was also relieved because it was always a question of, man, did we bring this with us? Did they? You start wondering yourself, and is something wrong with me? And if I brought it with me, how? And if I brought it with me, how long has it been with me? But it didn't make any sense because we had no paranormal activity when we lived elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So it got to be the house, but I'm not 100% sure. But when Rhonda told me that, and also this is very important to note, her son was still seeing shadowy figures out the corner of his eye where they currently live.
After they left.
This was 2014 when I met Rhonda. And they moved to Yakima, Washington, which is on the other side of the mountains in the state of Washington. It's about 500 miles. And she said, yeah, her son was still seeing them. And I, to this day, Ashley and Reeni, I still see shadowy figures out the corner of my eye. I would say 3 times a week.
So because
I don't live in the house anymore.
Oh, go ahead, Reeni. Sorry.
No, you're going to ask the exact same question that I'm going to ask.
It might be. So you said that you've never experienced anything before moving into that house. Do you feel, or do you think that something may have followed you, or that it just checks up on you randomly? Almost like, I know it sounds awful, but it's almost like the house might have taken a piece of you.
Yeah.
Like the fear.
Like now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Like
See,
there's a piece of you left in that house because of what you experienced, and it checks up on you.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah. I
no,
don't want to scare anybody, but that's my
yeah.
thought
This
process.
is so for you listeners to know. So you're right. The Bothell Hell House, come out the book, deals with the activity in the home. Attachments, Poltergeist of Washington State, book 2, deals partially with what happens after I move out the house. If you're reading, Reeni, I don't know what part of the book you're at, Bothell Hell House.
No, like I read it. I was so curious about this doll experiment. Like you have like no idea. I couldn't wait. I was like, I
Okay.
gotta ask him. I
So
gotta ask him.
I think you're reading the Bothell House because I have the Washington State one.
Okay, okay.
So we're good, and then we're switching.
We're gonna have to switch books.
Do a little switcheroo
Yes.
in the mail. So really, I was having attacks while traveling on business trips, while living in the home, which is a rare poltergeist lore, but it happened to be in hotel rooms. I've been attacked while sleeping. I've been in elevators. I've been on planes. I've been attacked.
Now,
So I'm already being followed while living in the home. I'm already being followed. I've been attacked at work.
Wow.
So they've already proven they can reach me anywhere. But I've always thought, wow, you're still living in the home. Duh. It was finally until I moved out, and the question on my mind was, will I have activities still? And I did. They let me know very early on. You'll see, as we read the second book, that we're still here. And you're right. A portion of me probably is still in that house. I don't know. But I definitely know a portion of them, a lot of them came with me elsewhere, because I still see the shadowy figures every now and then. The remaining constant of all this that I still experience every day, even today, while sleeping, are the disembodied heartbeats coming from my bed, both mattress and pillowcase, the mattress indentations, the little, like an invisible cat or dog getting on your bed, something wrapping around your extremities. I call it the slinky effect, or something like a sandbag drapes on you. You ever got an X-ray? You went in the ER, got an X-ray done. You know how to put that heavy metal blanket on you.
Oh yeah.
You feel that? I feel that while sleeping. It feels that on my lower extremities, waist. And the heartbeat. The heartbeat will go da 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 da. You can hear it with the naked ear, and of course you're gonna love it, Ashley, because I bought expensive, highly sensitive digital stethoscopes, and I captured those heartbeats, and I put the links in the book for anybody to listen with their own equipment. So all that still happens now. Why in the whoosh something goes in but doesn't come out on the other side? That periodically happens, and that happened a lot in the Bothell house while I slept. Couch, bed didn't matter. You feel the indentations, and it's an indentation coming towards you. Then there's a pause, and then there's and then you flutter. There's a fluttering euphoria response, like you touched I'm from Texas originally, so we used to go in the field or fishing, and every night we come across a fence line. The black cows, that little electric fence line, you touch it, it kind of jitters you. That's what it feels when they rush through you or rush through me. It's like, you feel like you touched a charged fence line, or if you were connecting your battery in your car and you touch those wires incorrectly, you get that little jolt. Yeah, that still happens.
Wow. So with all the activity that you experienced, was there anything that I know a lot of it is very scary, but was there one specific incident where it rocked you to the core?
Yeah, and I'm not embarrassed to say I'm a big guy, grown man, age 52. The postal car fire, I cry like a baby, as I should.
Yes.
If you
normal reaction.
To my house in a fire, and I'm telling you everything I've told you, and I'm like calm as a cat. Oh yeah, I caught that fire, and I went and made a cup of coffee. When the fire department arrived at my house, Tina arrived. I know I was in shock because Tina rushes through the door. I called her that the fire, she hadn't even made it to the highway yet. So she turned back around. And imagine you know, your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you pull up to the house and the fire department's there, like 2 fire trucks. You're like, oh my God, what's going on in my house? And she rushed through the door, and I'm shaking like a fig leaf. I'm like crying, boo-hooing. Fire department is in there because my world has been rocked, dude. I not so much. The fire is a big deal. Fires, we all hate fire. Fire is horrible in your home. You never want to live through it, whatever. But set the fire aside for a second. What rocked my world was the thing that ran by me. Was me seeing my own front door open and close on its own, and me then 2 seconds later run to it, and I can't open it. What really rocked me was when I called 911, and every time the lady asked me for my address, because I said I got a fire, every time I would get to say my address verbally, the phone would break up on clockwork. It did that 3 times. She's like, you're not coming in, I'm losing you. And every time I get to the part of giving my address, static. So I knew they were behind that. I knew they were doing that. And it took the 4th try for her finally to get my address. And then when the fire department arrived, when Tina arrived, I'm done. I'm like, and you see that in the book where we went straight to the Catholic Church who had been helping us, but from afar, not taking our claims seriously. We sat in the priest's office. The receptionist said, hey, he's busy. He's got appointments all day. You guys didn't have a scheduled appointment, so would you like to make one to come back? We're not leaving. I said, well, he's going to be in there all day. We waited all day to finally see him because we were not leaving. I told her, you know how that look in your eye? I don't know what time your parish closed or what y'all got planned today, but you need to look at my eye. We're not leaving here till we see him. So do what you got to do. We're gonna sit over there, and and we did. I mean, keep in mind, I got fires all over me. I'm disheveled. Tina's disheveled. We just called both our jobs saying we're not coming in that day, and we're just looking. We look pitiful on that bench in the waiting room. So the lady kept coming in bringing us cups of coffee because I was spit, dude. My bell was rocked. So yeah, that one stands out the most always. I mean, but that one is the strong one. Yeah.
Well, and with what you said, it also scary because it's almost like, did they hold the door shut because they were trying to scare you, or were they trying to harm you? And I think that's a very fine line of
it is
being terrified and them physically trying to harm you. And I mean, I probably would have been a hot mess. My husband would have had to carry me to the church, to be honest. I would have
left that church. When I got there, I would have brought my pillows, my blankets. I mean, my whole house, maybe. I don't know. I would have just sat there like, I'm not leaving. I'm taking over this church. That's it. I mean, this is where I'm at.
I mean, how long did you live in this house?
4 years.
See, I don't know. I give you a lot of credit because I don't know if I would have made it past just cabinets slamming shut. I mean,
yeah, and so 4 years. A lot of people don't know. 2000. We moved in 2012. I moved out 2016. The activity started in the summer or the spring of 2012, and ran its course probably up until November of 2012, and then tapered off. And we had no activity for the entire year of 2013. So there was a time where the activity went dormant. There were little, hey, what's that over there, and little stuff. But overall, all the phenomena that we witnessed physically had evaded. We thought we dodged a bullet, and we're like, oh, they're gone. And the websites, the program, they said, hey, sometimes they say taper off on their own. But they said if they come back, oh man, the world hurt. They come back, and they were right. It came back. Now you mentioned something very interesting. Was the spirits trying to harm me during the poster fire? See, yes and no. If you mean physically harm me, no, they weren't trying to physically harm me. If you mean psychologically harm me, heck yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they succeeded. Now, there was an instance where the spirits tried to multiple times they physically harmed me. The most dangerous time they've ever physically harmed me was when they pushed me down the stairs. Now, it's interesting. I just told you we had no activity in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
January 2nd, 2014, I was leaving my office going downstairs. We had no activity for a year and 3 months. Yippee. I'm going downstairs for a glass of water. I get to the mid landing of my staircase. I still got 12 more steps to go. And I, boom, fall. Boom, bad fall. Horrible fall. Tina's in the kitchen cooking and hears me fall. I cried in pain. I knew it was a bad fall. I'm 6'5". I'm looking like a pretzel. I knew it was a bad fall, but I'm not feeling any broken bones yet. And I called Tina over. The first time she runs over there, she thinking I'm playing. Hey, get up, you're playing. I'm like, no, I'm really hurt. Help me up. My right knee is starting to swell, and it finally swelled to the size of a bowling ball. I had tore my right patella tendon clean off.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning my kneecap had migrated up into my thigh, and my leg was spasming out the yin and crazy pain. So fast forward ER, oh yeah, you got a torn patella tendon, Keith. It's going to require surgery to reattach it. It's going to take 2 months to go to rehabilitation, 6 weeks of PT. You're going to be house stricken, bedridden, and all that stuff. Okay, fine, whatever. Around February or late February, early March, I'm bedridden. Tina's going to work. I can't go anywhere. I just had surgery. I'm in a cast. I'm restricting my movements to upstairs while Tina's gone because I'm on crutches. I'm starting to hear the little knocks and taps while I'm sleeping. Top, 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 top on the headboard. Top, 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 top. Scratches like a cat scratching in your door to get in, but we have no cat. And I'm waking up to all this noise. What's even more frightening, actually, is I'm waking up and I'm hearing rummaging through the kitchen. Now imagine you're in one part of the room or house, wounded, alone, and it feels like somebody's in your kitchen rummaging. So my first reaction was, oh, Tina came home while I was asleep. Okay, it's 11 a.m. She left a few hours ago. Why is she back? Tina! Nothing. Tina! Nothing. All right. I've struggled to get my whatever, my cast thing. Walk to the landing, call for Tina, nothing. Then the noise stops. Okay. Even call Tina or text her a few times. Hey, hear noise. You home? Nothing. I'm at work. I get back into bed, turn the TV back on, whatever, or go back to sleep. The noise resumes. Okay. But I'm so, and this is what I guess poltergeist PTSD. I block it out. I'm in denial. Okay, because I don't want to go through. I don't even want to hint at this coming back. I don't even want to go there. I'm trying to wish it away mentally, like, oh my God. So a few weeks after that, me and Tina are dead sleep on Sunday night, dead sleep. Getting ready for Monday morning. We hear a thunderous crash in the middle of the night coming from the hallway. It woke both of us up. Come out of nowhere. It felt like a plane that's coming through the roof. We dart up naturally and run to the direction of the noise. And we see this armoire, this giant armoire that was resting on the wall in the hallway that we kept our linen in. It's now on this side of the hall, and it's got a gash in the wall. It's been thrown, moved significantly. Now, when we moved this armoire in the home, this is when it was empty. It took 3 of me to move it upstairs. 3 of me to move it. Very big and bulky. I hate moving that thing around. I told Tina, once we sit it here, don't ask to move it anywhere else. This thing had moved considerably in that hallway. And we looked at each other and we knew they were back. Tina busted out crying right there next. Tina turned around, went to the bed, sat on the foot of the bed, and just started bawling. And I had seen the damage and seen the size of the armoire and knew they're back. Now, this is a few weeks after my leg injury, okay? Fast forward to 2016 when you saw in the documentary with Stephen Donnerod, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the unopened questions was, did they push me down the stairs? Was I pushed? Okay. And you see Don a lot with his equipment, how he does EVP sessions. One of the questions he asked was, did y'all push Keith down the stairs? You know, and he plays it back, and the spirit says, yes, we. They use the word we. We pushed him downstairs. And they didn't say him. They said, we pushed Keith downstairs. We pushed him downstairs. When they played that to me 2.5 years after the fact that I had fallen, because it always in the back of my mind was like, push. I've been going up and down those stairs 1,000 times. Why would I fall now? And I can tell you, it was not so much them admitting that they pushed me down the stairs. It was the nonchalant attitude they had when they said it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, we pushed them downstairs. And what? You know, that's what we did. You know, and I was like, because when you talk about injury, anybody, ghosts included, if I push you down a flight of stairs, let's say I want to hurt you or break your ankle or something or whatever, that might be what I want to do, Ashley, but you can still break your neck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that happens every day. Well, I pushed him down the stairs. I didn't know he was going to die on me.
Yeah.
So when they push me down the stairs, it's automatically they want to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
That's automatic. You don't push somebody down. Just teasing. No,
Right.
they want to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we could always discuss the level of hurt, but once they push you down the stairs, I'm a big guy, it's really up to gravity how you come out of this.
Yes.
You know, it's out of the ghost's hands, out of my hands. Mm-hmm. It's up to gravity. And if gravity wants you to break your clavicle, your left or fourth vertebrae, your hip bone,
mm-hmm.
your thigh bone, whatever, your femur. I mean, all things can go wrong, right? A bone could trigger an artery breakage. Oh my God, you broke your leg and now you're protruding and your arteries exposed. So there's a whole different things that could have went south with this incident, and which is unnerving to me because I was like, man, because they were very nonchalant. So I'm always asking myself the question, when I broke my patella, did they say amongst themselves, oh crap, we didn't kill him, or oh crap, he didn't get hurt enough, or oh wow, whoa.
Yeah.
You know,
like, oh crap.
I hold a press conference and elaborate, you know, what was your end goal there? Because the activity did return a few weeks after that.
See, and that's one of the things I find really interesting about this whole thing is reading and watching some of your guys' experience and then seeing, you know, the previous owner mention about the mental state she was in. And I know that it's in the documentary. I don't know if I want to say it on here because it is very sad, but the mental state that she was in and some of the thoughts that she had to herself, knowing that these spirits or that this activity could get somebody to that point is terrifying. And it was, for me, just reading it was kind of like they fed off of your fear. They fed off of your guys' mental state, especially the person who lived there before. And you're right. Like, I wonder what their end goal was. Were they trying to get her to follow through with certain actions?
Oh, yes,
or,
yes.
You know,
yes.
and that's the terrifying part.
I put that question to bed in my second book that you have, and you're referring to Rhonda.
Yes.
Rhonda admitted Rhonda was suicidal in the home. We know that. She said that. Rhonda tried to commit suicide in the home. She said that.
And she said multiple times too, which was heartbreaking.
Three times. And I was able to verify that by pulling up the 911 records to the home to verify that. So she was suicidal, and she was still suicidal after she moved out the home. The only thing Rhonda said that was interesting was she did not become suicidal until she moved in the home. She did not become depressed. I can tell you, people always ask me, what's worse, the mental or the physical? I can tell you hands down, as bad as the physical is, it pales in comparison to the mental. Because me and Tina we can go days without having activity. Mm-hmm. The mental is every day. sometimes the silence, and I say this in both books, the silence is worse than the activity because you know something's coming.
Right.
We know. See, I've had suicidal thoughts in that Bothell house. There's no way you cannot go through this and not eventually have suicidal thoughts of your own, because these spirits are relentless, and I can never oversell that or undersell it to people, because people are like, oh, we see what happened to me. I'm like, no, you don't. You know that because you watch Ghost Adventures or Travel Channel and all this stuff. They are on you 24/7. They're at you on your job. They impact your health, your mental, your focus, your relationship, the things that you love. You don't want them to know you exist. Trust me. You don't want them to say, "Oh, Cliff is over there. Let's go bother Cliff." You say that now because Hollywood makes it look like, no. The mental is worse. You don't sleep. I mean, you go to sleep. Yeah, I have not slept like I appreciated that amount of sleep since the Bothell house, and I probably never will again. Shower, bed, driving, car. I mean, losing your car fob over and over, mechanical problems, being accused of things you didn't do by your spouse, loved ones. People think you're crazy. People think you're lying. People think you're attention seeking. All these things they control. They know who's coming in the house. They know who to give evidence to and who not to give it to. They know if they're going to not be active in Ghost Adventures there. They know that's going to reflect badly on Keith and Tina. They know that. You know, they know why. We're not going to do anything. It's Hollywood in there? Yeah, okay. You know, but as soon as they leave, so you guys like to call people in the house, huh? Okay. Well, we're going to make y'all pay for that. So they don't know that. People don't know this, and Ghost Adventures never told about. We got attacked at the hotel that we got put up in.
And they left that out.
They left that out. That's pertinent information. You know, we got attacked. They're like, hey, activities over here, guys. You're the wrong activities. You know, and they left that. They left Rhonda out. You know, they knew Rhonda. Not to segue into that conversation, but they knew Rhonda and her ordeal. How could you not? I gave it to them. But people understand it's the mental is worse than the physical. And if you look at other poltergeist cases, the famous ones, and talk to the poltergeist survivors, they will agree with me 100%. They're like, dude, yeah, it's the mental that you can never forever shake. It changes you. It changes me.
Yeah, and I mean, go ahead, Reeni.
No, I'm just agreeing. I mean, it does. It has to. I mean, it would change me. I know it would change Ashley. I just, I can't imagine.
Well, and I mean, just the human emotion of needing someone to talk to or vent to, you don't know if you have that because you have that group of paranormal believers that you can tell them anything and they believe you. But then you have the skeptics that you can give them the hardcore evidence and they're going to call you crazy and you just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, there's so much negative associated with, I have friends who I know love me. They love me. They know I'm going through this ordeal, but they don't get it.
Right.
And some of them, I've lost friends who just because of the fact that I'm going through it, and they had something eerily similar growing up or knew somebody who did, they cut ties. It's not personal, but they're like, hey, dude, that dark stuff, I'm out of here. No, I don't need that in my life. And rightfully so. But make me and Tina interesting is going back to what we started this off with was we had no brush with the paranormal. It's a highly successful career. Me and Tina had already been together 2 years before we moved into the Bothell house. It's not like people, we woke up one day, hey, let's get a house and fake a haunting. Yeah. That's how I want to do, I'm going through my midlife right now. That's how I want to focus my 50-year-old self on. I want to do that, and I'm so glad we're like, well, I'm so glad we rented the home versus lived in the home. because nobody rents a home and sets it on fire.
Right.
You don't own the
Exactly.
home, or paints all over the walls, or put holes in the walls. It brings the media in. It's like, hey, media, look at all these holes and fires and wall writings and stuff. My coworkers see it, and I go to work. Kid, I saw you on TV. Wow, that sucks to be you. Or wow, that house is crazy. And they know me, and they know I'm not about them. Like, whoa, dude, whoa. But I read that, like, wow, man, you know, nobody does that to a house they're renting. And just to bring the homeowner back into this, if we thought for a second, if our claims were being faked or rigged or whatever, the first person who would believe that would be the homeowner. The homeowner never came to me after all the stuff in public. You guys gotta get out of my house. You guys are tearing my house out.
Yeah, he would have kicked you out within months.
Exactly.
With that house.
Yeah.
He can't even sell it because he want. In 2008, 2009, when the economy where you couldn't sell a house if your life depended on it, all that you could do is hopefully was rent it and recuperate some loss by that. Somebody who's unfamiliar with the home, who wants a home, and just ride out this economy, this the recession back then, just ride it out. But he never came to the house when the activity happened. He never came to meet Ghost Adventures. He knew they were there because they had to get approval through him. I didn't approve them, he did. So he never came to see for himself. When appliances would break down, malfunction, he would just, hey, you take care of it and just send me the bill or take it out of your month's rent. And we did. The only time I saw the homeowner in the 4 years, this is very important to anybody who listens to this, because I talk to people who live in homes and apartments and all that and rent. And I said, how many times do you see your homeowner since you've been in your house? Oh, he comes around, she comes around, and rotates the appliances in and out. Oh yeah, about 6 times since I lived there. I said, ask me how many times I've seen my homeowner in the 4 years I've lived there. I don't know, 5, 6, 8 times? Twice. Now ask me, when did I see him? Well, obviously you saw him when you moved in. You have to do the keys. I was like, I knew when you left. I'm like, yep. I saw the homeowner May 1st, 2012, and May 8th, 2016. The only time I've seen him. The only time. He wants nothing to do with the house. When I left May 8th, I gave him the keys and we checked off everything. He left with me. He didn't hang around.
He's like, I'm not staying. I'm good. Yeah.
That right there. I mean,
yeah.
It's almost like a guilty conscience. He knows what's in that house, and he's like, I'm not staying here.
He knows. And I'm glad you said it because, and my sister's psychiatrist and people who study, who interview people or intelligence, people will tell you the truth if you listen closely to them. When I put this email exchange in, I think it's in your book, Reeni, of when I asked the homeowner for approval for Ghost Adventures. And I told him all the stuff that had been happening. And I said, well, they want to come in, but they need your approval. He said, you have, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, you have my approval, they can come in. But the thing he said that raised my eyebrow, he said, there's probably some nasty spirits in there that need to be gotten out. You have my approval. Now, I didn't volunteer that information to him, but he used the word spirits, not me. And I was like, that's an interesting, because, as a paranormal researcher or whatever, you know, but you don't know, right? You got to go in and see first before you declare spirits present.
Almost like he slipped up to you.
He said that. He's like, yeah, there's probably some spirits in there. And I was like, Then I took his email to what I found in the 911 reports. Now, this is really going to rock your world. Spoiler alert, Ashley, if you ever read book 2.
Okay.
We're just going to switch books. So.
Yeah, we'll have to switch books when we're done.
Okay. Spoiler alert, though, but any reader should still read this because, Rhonda told me she had tried to kill herself 3 times in the home. She said, hey, I tried to kill myself 3 times in the home. The house is living hell. So I knew, okay, I believed her. It was not that I was doubting her. I wanted the tangible. I said, if Rhonda tried to kill herself 3 times in the home, there's got to be a paper trail. There just got to be. Got to be a paper trail. So I went to the county website and I said, I want to get 911 records. Am I allowed to do that for a house I lived in? And you can. Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's more paperwork. You go in there, you're going to get anything you want. How far can I go back? You go as far as you want. I said, give me since the house was built until now. And I did. And I pulled up, the only 911 records were Rhonda's and mine when I called the fire department. So I knew what that was about. So I saw Rhonda's. Now, I was not expecting to get her report, or I said it, the contents of her report are probably some of the most darkest elements about this case, because going back to the evidence and the professionalism of what I was saying earlier, when I pulled up her 911 records, one of the reports was written by the deputy officer who responded to the 911 call. The other two reports were written by the psychiatrist, whatever group they call when somebody's suicidal. There's a group of response to a suicidal at a home, was their reports. The deputy, who's trained to be narrative in his report and what he finds when he arrives on the scene, and this is in the book, anybody can read this, starts off of him pulling up to the house. It's a cool evening. Got a call about a 911 woman in distress. Like a normal police officer, he goes to the front door, rings the doorbell, Nobody answers. He hears a woman screaming coming from the garage. He hears that, a woman screaming. And he writes down in his note what she's screaming. And she's screaming out loud, why can't y'all just leave me alone? I want to be left alone. And she's screaming. He can hear that. He goes to the door, She doesn't answer. He, being proactive, I don't think he really had to do this, but he did, walks around the house, goes through the side fence. That's it's a wooden fence. He does a little latch thing. Goes to the backyard, goes up to the patio, glass door. And notice, he writes in his report, he gets there and he sees a mattress stuffed through the glass window of the sliding door. There's no glass there, it's just a mattress that plugged the hole up. Pretty big. And he sees that. He removes it. Okay? He's been pretty proactive, dude. I don't call all kind of backup. He removes it and goes in. And he surveys, he says, broken glass, Still sees nobody. Hello, He can still hear Rhonda screaming up the garage. I think he's staying in the living room and the kitchen now. Rhonda comes out of the garage side door, and her arms are bloody. And she's holding a screwdriver. Okay? She had jacked the screwdrivers in her veins to open up her veins. The officer tells her to put the screwdriver down. Ma'am, I'm gonna need for you, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's in the report. Ma'am, I need for you to put that screwdriver down. Drop it. She's screaming, She's not even talking to him. She's just screaming about, why can't y'all just leave me alone? He tases her. All right. He tases her to render her susceptible, where they can, get people in there and they wrap her up and they take her to the hospital. And then the last line on his story that just threw me, that was so eerie, was, there's nobody else in the house. Who was she talking to? She's not on the phone. There's nobody else in the house. She said, why can't y'all just leave me alone? And the other reports happened a few days after this. These were back to back, like in a 2 weeks time frame of each suicide incident. So she would get released and put back into that house. Now, it was very interesting about the mattress and the glass door, because if you see in book one, like I said, both books are good together. Miranda describes to me an incident in the home while she was living there. She went out on the backside patio to have a cigarette. She's a smoker. So have a cigarette, and she left some baby formula on the stove boiling or cooking, and her baby in a high chair facing the sliding door while she went out and smoked a cigarette. As she turned around to go back into the home. The sliding door was always open. She never closed it. As she came back toward the house, the sliding door slid shut on its own and locked her out.
With the baby inside.
Rhonda, in her panic, because the baby starts wailing, crying, picked up a rock and busted the glass to get back to the home. They never got that glass fixed. To remedy it, they just stuffed the mattress in it to plug up the hole for weeks and months. Her husband was an Alaska fisherman. He was never home, just her and the kids. She plugged it up with a mattress. This is 2008, 2009. The police officer arriving is sort of he sees that those two are related. You cannot make, the point I'm going to make is, you cannot make that narrative up if you put the timeline all together. People have to look at this case in the timeline, the chronological order of it, when everything happened. And take Keith and Tina. This happened in 2008, 2009. Me and Tina didn't meet until April 15, 2010. I said it was tax day. I'll never forget we met on tax day.
Met on tax day.
Yeah, on tax
you know,
that's a good way to remember it.
I know.
At a wine tasting. We were not even a couple in 2008 or 2009. And Rhonda has already experienced a phenomenal event. And here we are, me and Tina, strangers in the world, and converging on this house in 2012, not knowing that at least 2 suicide attempts were attempted in a home that we sleep in every night. One involving an apprehension where the officer had to use force to save a woman from herself because she had stabbed herself in both arms. And, you always talk about paranormal teams about looking for, deaths occurred, murder occurred. Maybe should be some suicide occurred or suicidal attempts. Each kind of makes it accessible to retrieve that data now of, how many 911 calls to a home. But so yeah, you have that. And that, to me, let me know the level of focus these spirits were doing for her, and how the mental, to me, is worse than the physical.
Now, does she remember all of the details of her suicide attempts, or was it almost like a blackout moment for her where she wasn't really aware of what she was doing? Do you know?
We never drilled that far. I was still in the house when we was having these conversations, and I didn't want to get too dark on her.
Yeah.
For fear of it throwing on me. What I did know was, according to Rhonda, she was addicted to pain meds and alcohol, and was depressed. And those things all seemed to just happen at the same time. There were some final constraints. What led to the drugs and alcohol addiction was their son had got mysteriously ill and sick, to where they were just accumulating bills after bills after bills. So you have to understand, a lot of what the poltergeists do, in my theory, is unseen. They're laying the groundworks. So like my fall was a trigger for them to do what they did 2 months later or 2 weeks later. What Rhonda and them experienced, the financial constraints, which creates strife amongst couples, because now you're arguing about bills and you got a son and you wonder if insurance is going to pay for it or not, and you're wrangling all this. See, this creates angst and stress in the home environment that the poltergeist is starting, but you can't see it. It's invisible to the naked eye. He has to take up a job to where he has to go away to Alaska to fish, because Alaska fishing make a lot of money. It's really quick. You get the money quick. You do 3 or 4 months out the year, you can make a lot of money. You need that cash flow now. You can't get a day job. You need cash flow now. The son is sick. He did that. But check the most important thing not to be overlooked in this. He's gone. Okay, he's out the house. It's Rhonda and 3 kids. One of them is very sick. He's out to sea. He has no cell phone when he's out to sea.
Right.
It's like they tried to break her down.
Yeah, it's isolated. That's the point. It's the isolation. So now she can't reach to him. Drugs, alcohol, depression, son is sick, bills, they're mounting. Then the voices come in, because now they come in, kill yourself. You don't know what it just, and that's what she was saying. It was like a dark cloud keeps parked over that house. And I believe her. I was like, yeah, I get that. Because man, it was like that with me and Tina. You know, I'm coming off this job promotion I just got. Me and my girlfriend moved into the house to celebrate our 2-year anniversary. We were happy when we got it. We were like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're taking our relationship to the next level. And then you got the spirits, you know, somewhere they're like, fresh meat. Yeah. Okay. All right. Who do we go after first? Who do we want? And it's just like I said, the unseen. If we could pull it into the seeing environment, all the planning and machinations that they do behind the scenes that we'll never be now, it will blow our minds. Because oh, he went away. Yeah, my husband went away fishing, and I went, you know, dark and stuff. Things got worse, but the son was very sick, and the doctor said when they took him to Seattle Children's Hospital, was he has the rarest form of meningitis that they've ever seen, and they don't know how he got it. You know, I said he was near death a few times, and it was during that moment when he was going through meningitis that he started seeing the shadowy figures. Now, Rhonda, like me, she's not in the paranormal. Like I heard kid cough and stuff like that. I don't know I don't know that was a disembodied voice. Kid cough. I don't know that's within the norm of a poltergeist. They do stuff like that. When your son wakes you up in the night, or while you're cooking, or talking to your friend on the phone, or just watching TV, Mommy, I see something in my bed, or Mommy, I see something in my. You know he's sick. Oh, Johnny's sick. It's the meds. He's on the meningitis meds. Side effect, whatever. Go see Johnny. Johnny is telling us the truth. You know, you said no, and the spirits know that. That's why they reveal themselves, because they know nobody's going to believe you.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can reveal ourselves to you now. You know, that's why the apparition revealed herself to me. Keith, nobody's going to believe you. So of course I'm going to show myself to you. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. All right. I'm going to disappear now. Okay. You tell somebody. They're not gonna believe you. So all that I try to make people understand and put it in both books, the level of stuff going on, because it's so intrinsic. You can never, read that book 14 times, you'll find something new each time you read it.
I mean, the capability of them to break down the human mind and the human spirit enough to get you to that vulnerable, weak state. I don't want to say weak, but in their minds, weaker. And it's almost like that's what they prey on. And it's kind of like it makes them stronger. That
it does. And like I said, spoiler alert, and that's what I said earlier, may she rest in peace. Rhonda was successful in committing suicide. She was finally successful. It was, years later. But when Steve and Dawn had left in April, I believe, of 2016, their last investigation, and they released their findings, I had stayed in a little bit of conversation with her, because I would keep her updated on the progress of what we found in the house, because I wanted her to know it's not you, it's not me, it's we'll never know, but be at peace knowing it wasn't you specifically. When I went to her September of that year to get her the report, she had already killed us. She had killed herself a few weeks prior by walking in front of a moving train in Montana. The clearest, bluest day imaginable that day in the fall or late summer. And they talked to the conductor, the train conductor. And he said, "Hey, I see this woman, and she's just standing on the tracks. She's looking down, and she's and we're honking, whatever the train does, because they can't stop. Even if they stop, it's still going to go some ways." And he's trying to, But he said she was just strolling like you and I would stroll through a garden in a forest or something, and they just plowed right over it. And it shook him. He said, I don't think I'll never be a conductor again. And I knew, like, yeah, that's what the spirits wanted. The spirits in ours wanted me and Tina at each other's throats constantly.
Mm.
They wanted us bickering. They wanted us arguing. They wanted us mad, upset. They wanted me to blame Tina for stuff. Tina blamed me for stuff. They're very conniving, very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sad that Rhonda committed suicide, obviously, because I knew they never left her. And full disclosure, they whispered to me a few times, "Keith, kill yourself," in the house and outside the house. In your ear, hey, get it out. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's real.
The research and the time that you've taken to really focus on what's going on and things like that, I think that shows that that it's not you and it's not your voice. It's that these spirits are trying to get to you. And, that's an amazing thing. It shows how strong you are as an individual. And in a sense, it probably pisses them off. But, I hope people watching this learn from that.
Right. And,
really do try to break you down, and you have how you've done with the scientific aspect of it and the research. Like, I hope people look to how you handled this situation. If they're
I've learned a lot. Just listening, like I didn't know much about poltergeist activity. I mean, you hear about it, like, and they always say that, like, teenage girls, when they're, when they come into puberty, they just start
manifesting.
Yeah, they just, they start, then poltergeist activity is like in your home. And I'm like, I don't think I have any of that yet. I mean, I just have grumpiness, but I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, this is one of the most interesting interviews that we've done. And I think people really underestimate what a poltergeist is. And I'm hoping that by hearing your story, and hopefully they read your books and they see just how strong these spirits can be and the effect it can have on people. And it's not a playing manner, and it's not a joke or any of that. It's terrifying.
And I really appreciate having you on. And we kind of actually do have to wrap it up. We actually are having some really strong winds. I'm in Illinois. So we have like 50-mile-an-hour winds right now. We're under a wind advisory. But everybody that can find his book on Amazon. And I'm going to try to search those YouTube videos again. And me and Ashley are going to go ahead and swap books.
Yes. And if you have time, there is a documentary on YouTube. It was really interesting. You can watch that as well. That shows some of the different experiments that Keith had talked about, as well as some of the samples they had sent out for investigating as well. So those are very interesting.
And I do know in the like the books, there is like YouTube stuff. And sometimes I am not that tech savvy. I will be the first one to admit that. I can barely work my laptop.
It was easier than you think.
It probably was. I tried. But thank you so much for being on. Yes. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for having me. And, I'm glad we talked great questions, and hope your list learned a lot. I think they did. And
yeah, I mean,
if you ever have any questions, it's easy to find me, so yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. And thank you, Ashley, for being my co-host. And remember on Thursday nights to tune in on Realm of Darkness, because Ashley and I do a podcast on Thursdays. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone.